Hi guys, welcome to Lee Fisher's Always Fishing. Today I'm going to talk about barbel. Now barbel's a fish that up until summer of 2020, so 6 months ago, I'd never caught one. So barbel's been on my list for many years, but been so wrapped up with other species that I've never found the time. So I decided that summer of 2020, that was going to be my year for the barbel. Now, living in Sussex, on the Sussex coast, there's not a lot of choices of rivers to catch a barbel. Now, we've got a few rivers. We've got the Sussex Ouse, we've got the Ada, we've got the Arun, we've got the Rother, Cuckmere, to name a few. Or actually named all of them there, I think. All the ones that I know of anyway. Each one of these rivers contains a handful of barbel, and I mean a handful of barbel. Not very prolific species in Sussex, unfortunately. So I knew I was going to have my work cut out. So I joined a local club. I've got a few stretches of river not far from me. 15 miles or so inland from where I live, so not too far to travel. The problem is, of course, they were very localised in two areas, in two pools that I was told about. The rest of the river hardly worth a chuck. So getting in these two pools was half the battle really. If you could get in one of these pools, you were in with a chance. Unfortunately, everybody knew about these two pools, so it was always very busy. And I'd say that one of the pools was fished around the clock all day and all night, then somebody else took over, and you couldn't really get a look in. Every time I drove past, there was always somebody fishing it, no matter what time of the day or night you drove up there. So I started the summer off on the other pool, we'll call it. Secret pool number 2 is a good name for it. So secret pool number 1 is the one that had the big fish in it. Secret pool number 2 is a slightly fewer fish and smaller fish. Now I was told that this pool contained around about 15 barbel, maybe. Nobody really knows. Not a lot. Very small pool. One angler can fish it. Two at a squeeze, but the times I fished it, I fished it to myself, had it to myself. So that's where I started the summer. Went up there the first trip. Towards the end of June was my first trip, and was lucky enough to get a fish. Not the barbel that I was after. I caught a chub, which was a nice fish. 3 pounds, my biggest ever chub. Then I went again the following week. Caught another chub, 3.5 pounds. So it was going quite well. Then I had a blank. And then I think it's on the fourth trip, right at the end of the evening, I finally got my first barbel. I knew it was a barbel as soon as I hooked it. You know, the rod was wrenched over, and that was it. Four sessions on the secret pool number 2, and I had my first barbel. Absolutely overjoyed, as you'll see.
Oh, look what's happened. Oh. I finally got one. Oh, please don't come off. Look at it, it's a barbel. This is what I've been after. Yes! Oh, fantastic. Oh. Wow. I've finally done it. Oh my god. It's taken a few trips. How about that? Only one time in your life will you ever catch your first barbel. It's right now for me. You can see why they call it a barbel. Check out that mouth. That's massive, great big barbels there. And that's why it's called a barbel.
So that was my first barbel. So absolutely chuffed to bits with that. £5, you know, it's not massive, but to me, it's wonderful, wonderful fish. I was so pleased with that, as you just saw. I think the smile said it all on that one. I did a few more trips and got another one, as you'll see, right at the end of the evening. I had another one, similar size, a little bit smaller, so it was going quite well.
Brilliant.
Then on the next session, I drove up past secret pool number 1, expecting it to be occupied, as it always was, and I got the shock of my life. I found that it was free. I had to rub my eyes, do a quick U-turn, go back, park the car, look down into the pool, and sure enough, nobody was fishing it. So I thought, well, although I was planning to fish my normal pool, as it had become, I had to take the opportunity. Opportunities are very, very few on secret pool number 1 because it's got the big fish in it and more barbel, as I understand. So I quickly scampered down into the swim, cast out the permitted 1 rod, and within 20 minutes it wrenched over, and I had my first ever barbel and my third all-time barbel out of secret pool number 1. So I decided to fish the rest of the summer to try and catch another one of these barbels. I was so taken aback with these beautiful fish that I thought, I've got to give it a good old go. So pretty well all of my spare time, which is once a week usually, I usually fish on one midweek day session, usually a Wednesday, sometimes a Thursday, depends. But it just wasn't happening, blank after blank. I wasn't even getting any bites. It was a real struggle. So I pulled off, what with being an all-rounder, loads of other species to catch. I went off for a little while catching my other species, but still wanted to get back to the barbeling. So I returned sort of around about mid-September time, went back to secret pool number 2, first session back, bagged another one. Another similar sized fish. You know, all the fish that I was getting at this point were around about £5, but still over the moon with a beautiful fish.
Not a monster, but it's a barbel.
So for my next trip, after that mid-September success on the secret pool number 2, I couldn't wait to get back. So the following week I was driving back up there again, did my customary drive past the secret pool number 1. It was a Saturday as well, so I almost didn't bother because I knew it would be, or thought that it would be occupied. So I drove past secret pool number 1, no cars in the car park. Looked down into the pool, nobody there on a Saturday morning. I couldn't believe it. I can only assume that somebody had fished it the Friday night, late into the night, and packed up in the early hours. and I was just lucky that I got down there first on the Saturday morning. So I fished all day. Nothing was really happening. Had a few little tiny little plucks, but I suspected that they were perch until the afternoon. And I did get a tiny little tremor. It just was, rod tip's barely moving. So I picked the rod up and I could just feel it nibbling. So I thought it's got to be a perch. So I just wound down, pulled back. Something was on, it was just sort of coming in, and bang, over it went. Oh, God, it's got to be a barbel. And I got this one in. As soon as I looked into the net, I thought, that's a PB. That's the biggest barbel I've ever seen, let alone caught. And it sure was.
What about that one? 8 1/4 this is. My PB barbel by a mile. Absolutely awesome. Brilliant fight. It was worth sitting here all day waiting. Finally got my reward.
So after that success, PB barbel, I mean what a cracking fish. Obviously I couldn't wait to get back, and lo and behold, the following week drove past the pool, nobody in it again. I thought, what's going on? There's nobody in the pool again. So I scampered down into there, and this was a real red letter day for me, because not only did I get yet another barbel, I actually got two barbel within an hour. What was going on? Couldn't believe it. The first one was a nice enough barbel, but the second one was something a bit special.
Cracking fish. Awesome fight just then, as you saw. God, I can't believe it, my first double. Quickly get this done before I get soaked. It's pouring with rain. Now how about that? Double figure barbel. How about that? My lifestyle fishing this is. A double figure barbel. From my home ground too, from the secret pool. What a result.
Now my next trip, unfortunately there was somebody in the pool, secret pool number 1 that is. Although I got there at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, pitch black dark, an hour and a half before sunrise or dawn, there was somebody in there, and it was at this point that I figured out that people were fishing in there all night, doing all night sessions. But no matter, I went down to secret pool number 2, which is just down the road, another mile or so, a couple of miles probably. And luckily, with that pool not being as popular, because it didn't contain as big fish, I went in that pool. Fished a day in there. Now bearing in mind that I'd caught a few barbel out there, and the biggest one at that point was still £5. They'd all been around about that size. I hadn't been there long, and the rod folded over, and I had another barbel. And obviously things were going so well for me at that point, I couldn't put a foot wrong, it seemed. This one was my biggest one out of that pool. Another good fish, just under £8. Probably one of the top fish in that pool. So another result.
Just under £8. horrible, stormy, wet, windy day. Cracking fish. Stunning fish. And another Sussex barbel.
So because I seem to be on a bit of a roll, I was chomping at the bit to get up there the following week. Drove past Secret Pool number 1, as I always do. Nobody in it. I mean, it was pouring with rain, and the level of the river was up quite high, and you'll see in a minute that it was absolutely shooting through the pool well, it's quite a raging torrent really. But had quite a lot of rain, so the level was up, and it was really pushing through. But it was fishable, you know. I had to put heavy 3-ounce leads on, but it was fishable, and so I fished it, and couldn't believe what happened next. I thought I'd hit the highlight of my year with the 8-pounder. That was my season's target, you know, to get something a bit more decent than the 5-pounders I'd caught, and I had the 8.25. And then I went and caught the double figure barbel, my first ever double. I assumed that was going to be the highlight of my year, but it wasn't, because look what happened next. Well, we're into something here. It's digging deep. It's got to be a barbel, isn't it? Yes, it is. Wow, that wasn't easy. Just over £11, about £11.2, £11.4 for this. Oh my god, I thought I'd hit the highlight of my season. This is a cracker. Absolutely immaculate, this fish is. What an absolutely stunning fish. Unbelievable. So that wonderful fish was caught on Thursday, and as you saw, the river was quite high. An unexpected opportunity came up on the Sunday. I could manage to get in a few hours just in the morning, not many hours. I had to be away by about midday, so I could fit a few hours in, and I thought, okay, you know, I'll poodle on up there, have a look. Maybe somebody will be in there. Maybe it's going to be fishable. I wasn't really too sure. So I got there on Sunday morning, and nobody was in the pool. You know, it's still dark, and all I could hear was the roar of the water coming through the tunnel. And I thought, well, okay, maybe it's not fishable. So I got down there and cast out just as it was getting light, and yeah, 3 ounce lead was getting pulled around quite a bit, and I was, I don't know about this. But it you know, it settled down, stopped bouncing around, and I thought to myself, well, you know, it's either holding nicely or it's got snagged up. I'll leave it for maybe half an hour and then sort of pull it back. Well, I didn't have the chance to wait the half an hour. It was within about quarter of an hour that the rod was pulling over, and I was into a fish. I thought to myself, wow, I can't believe I've had another one. But thinking back on how the sessions in this pool had gone, this was only my 6th trip in the pool, and I'd caught every single time, and the fish were getting progressively bigger. You know, I caught a 5 pounder first of all in the pool, then I upped it to the 8 1/4 pounder, and then the next fish was the 10 pounder, and then I had the 11 pounder. So in actual fact this was only my fifth trip in the pool. There's only one fish that could better that, and that's the big girl, and you know, you could fish the rest of your life after that one. But this fish that I hooked was really fighting hard, really dogging down deep, and I struggled to get it through the centre of the pool because the flow was so strong. Definitely the hardest fight I ever had in the pool. Up it popped. As soon as it surfaced, I thought, that's huge. It's got to be the big girl. It's just got to be the big girl.
I wasn't too sure whether to fish today because look at it. It's an absolute raging torrent. 3 ounces of lead was barely holding, but I chucked it out there first cast and the rod was bouncing around, and then over it went within about a quarter of an hour. And I've had one. It's the big girl. I've just weighed up 15.10. Oh, check her out. As soon as I saw it go in the net, I thought, that's a big fish. You know, I had the 11 pounder, and I can clearly see that it's much bigger. So I thought it's got to be the big girl. And then when I saw the mark on the tail there, that distinguishes it. I knew it's a big girl. Didn't take long to get this one. I was going to fish the whole winter through. Superb. Big girl from the secret pool. Shh. Don't tell anyone.
So that was pretty well it for me. You know, I'd had five trips. I'd managed to get in the secret pool number 1. The fish had got progressively bigger each time, and ended up with the big girl. I mean, there's no way you can eclipse that. So the next time I went fishing, although I did head towards that pool, I was kind of hoping that somebody would be in there, and of course they were. So I went back down to secret pool number 2 miles downstream. Nobody was fishing in there, which is good. The time's getting on now, you know, in the year. We're into October, November actually by then, November. So all this action that I'd had was throughout October. We were now into November. So as I say, down on the secret pool number 2, everything was going to be an anticlimax after that, or so I thought. Now, secret pool number 2, 12 to 15 barbel in there, I've been told, mostly around about 4 or 5 pounds, as I'd found out. You know, I'd had mainly fish around about 5 pounds for quite a lot of time spent in there actually. You know, this pool was a lot harder to catch a fish from than the other one. the problem with the first one with the big fishing was trying to get in the swim. If you got in the swim, you're in with a chance of catching a decent fish, but you know, there's 250 members of the club, so you've got a 250 to 1 chance of getting in the pool, I guess. So it doesn't happen often. So I'd done my 5 trips in there. I'd had the fish that I wanted. I didn't really need to fish it anymore. But secret pool number 2, as I said, 12 to 15 fish, mostly around about £5. Couple of bigger ones, you know, I'd had the one that was just under £8, which was probably one of the biggest fish in the pool. I'd heard a couple of other people had had an 8-pounder, potentially the same fish out of there. One guy had had a 9-pound fish, and I'd heard that there's a 10-pound fish in there. So 10-pound barbel was the biggest barbel in this pool. Need I say more? You know what's coming next. You know, my luck was in. I've cast out to a new spot. 10 minutes later, the rod's folded over. It was the big girl in the other pool. So I'd had the 2 biggest barbel from the 2 pools, back-to-back sessions. What was going on? I can't explain it. It was just absolutely crazy.
Just had another double. This is the 3rd or 4th, is it the 4th double on the trot? Unbelievable, I can't explain what's going on. Yeah, what a stunner. Right, let's get her back.
Well, I did manage a couple more trips in December, and I was lucky enough to catch on both occasions. I caught probably my smallest one of the year, around about 4.5 pounds. Didn't actually weigh it. It's around about 4.5 pounds. So little baby. And the next trip, which was just before Christmas, I had a 6.5 pounder, which was a really nice early Christmas present, and a great way to end my first year after a barbel or 2. I'm sure I'll be back again next year.
Another little barbel. Now this one's probably my smallest one. Probably about 4.5 pounds this one. But it's another barbel from the secret pool. And it gave me a good battle, and I got quite a lot of the battle on the video then. So a nice little scrap. From a nice little fella. And very welcome too on a blustery cold November day. There you go. I recognise this one again. He's got like a half length little stubby barbel there. Well into winter, approaching Christmas it is, middle of December, and we're back up on the pool. Now look what I've just got. An absolutely stunning barbel. Cracking fish this. No mark on it. How about that? Thanks for watching, and hope to see you on the bank sometime. Cheers.